learn from this that's really important, because dyslexics typically don't speak up, and this is I went through a hell of a lot here, and there's going to be some good that come from it. That's what come from it, that we manifest. And one thing that we can do is help other people like me, and help yourselves to understand different people who are dyslexic, and many of them are members, because artists tend to dyslexics tend to become artists, and they can't be mistreated. And if they're understood and not feared, false evidence appearing real, you all won't have to be afraid that they're going to do crazy stuff, and you'll understand them better. And I think that one way to do that will be to enlighten you all into dyslexia. And I have a program where maybe you can have successful dyslexics speak at schools, and you could get to know them, and you could arrange this so that we could be not just a corporation, but be caring and have a good cause come from this. That's an idea. It's really hot. Let's take a break. So I drifted off on a little bit of a tangent there. What I'm trying to wrap up here is the idea of what happened. And it was a real shocker to me. I'll tell you a quick joke to get things fun again. I felt as if I was the mayor of Hiroshima when he felt the shockwave of the atomic bomb. I was like, what the fuck was that? I mean, it came out of nowhere, and that was improper, and it happened largely simply because you could allow it to happen, and that's badly wrong and immoral. To do something simply for and it brings about an ill-gotten gain that actually leaves so many loose ends that are deleterious to not just me, but everybody, to the integrity of the house, to your integrity. I mean, I'm sure you didn't want to do it that way. And we have a lot of talk right now with Ebola and the need for checklists and procedures. And God, they're a pain in the ass. I like to fly a plane, and I like to hop in and put the master switch on and put a primer in there, mixture to rich, crack the throttle, turn the prop over, turn the radios on after, and get going. But you got to go through this whole, and I have trouble reading because you have to go through each line by line of the checklist and the procedure, and you didn't follow the procedures, and I got hurt, and you hurt yourself, and it wasn't your best moment to do that, and that you can't allow that, because it just messes with people. And God knows I couldn't do your job. And that's where you have a duality of responsibility not to let the animals run the zoo. And because I hurt your feelings, and I've got to apologize. With the yoga thing, you busted your ass to make the place so beautiful, which you have a gift to do. And it's, as I say, it's not only super, it's incredible that you did that. And that's half of the, well, that's 80% of it. The other one is not letting the animals run the zoo, but the other one is not treating people like animals. And briefly, you went on I'll save that one for later. So that hurt me, and it was wrong, and we've never met, and we have to discuss that and look eye to eye and say, all I need to hear is that you didn't mean to hurt me. My sister threw a French horn at me because I was kicking her butt and Chutes and Ladders at age 8, and she immediately addressed my pain and said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, and she got me an ice pack, and that's what you do. Anyway, so here's how this happened. You did it simply because you could, and there was a systemic issue with when you're trying to purge the suits, that you can do that, but when you have something that's just wrong, you can't make it right by throwing good money after bad and hammering away at what's flatly wrong, flatly false, and in doing so, you defame somebody and you mess with their lives, because I like the Soho experience as a belonging, not just as a posh hotel. And if you stick with that, you're going to kill the vibe. Because what you do is you create a climate that And again, it's this balance between the animals running the zoo and not treating people like animals. But you create an improper climate, and that's what happened with me. That's why clearly gave up my Euro trip win was because Soho House is more important than Europe. And I thought that was implied and understood that I was playing nice. And I'm entitled to that trip. But there's a balancing act going on here that got way out of balance. And it's time to get real and reel it back in. So you got to follow the procedures, even though it's a pain. And I've got a lot for you to show you that you don't have to worry, because you have a right to be free from that worry. And then we can bring out the best in each other. But as it is, these deleterious things and this disregard has to be addressed. And we have to have a degree of consciousness and concern, because that's how people behave. And that's not only the values and ethics of the house, it's the lay of the land. So let's get it together. And because I guess here's where I'm going with the fishing trip, because it was nothing was really ever owned up to, and you did it, and you know you did it, and then there was a diffusion to a third party, and that went absolutely horribly, and I'm going to go into the degree of pain that I felt from that. And I don't think, anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. So much to know. Okay, let's do that now. Take a pause and we'll go into that. Okay? So this is a situation that I have to address, because it's a question of a lot of hurt and pain that you caused me, and you didn't mean to, and I'm sure that because I know you're a good man when you ran that appeal. But you were what I call a parrot caught in a trap. You had to stick on the party line, and it was just, it made things bad from worse, because there was no ownership of anything. It was more of the same to me, and it really upset me, but I understand that not only where you were coming from, but the assumptions that you might have made based on what I call fear, false evidence appearing real. And anyway, but you did it in a very dismissive style, and that's a fine style to work in, and that's part of your charm. And it works great with employees, but you can't handle a member who has a lot at stake here, who has one's life at stake, because a sense of belonging, and when you are a viable, contributing person, and I'll go into that, into the many things that I have done to be helpful, and you know it, because you helped me get over a situation. Dude, I'm trying to help any way I can, and I won't, because I don't want to be a problem either, but it did save some injuries. There was a toaster that was precariously placed at the buffet, and I mentioned that, and because I have had a lot of sports injuries as a swimmer and snowboarder, etc., I know a heavy British toaster falling on the deltoids and the phalanges of the feet. Well, you saw Goodfellas where they shit the guy in the feet. You empathize with people, because that would really mess somebody up, because everybody has open-toed shoes. So I said, this toaster is going to fall, because somebody's going to put their hand in there, going to jerk it up, and it's just balancing there. And the gal immediately saw that, but she was very mean to me in the process, because I also mentioned that there was a perspex, as you all say, or a plexiglass sheet that somebody was going to slip on with the slip tiles and crack their head open. Anyway, those are, so I'd mentioned that, got the wrath of hell, and it was just mean, and then my friend who ran the appeal pulled his old charm as if to passively aggressively connect the dots, and that was wrong, and it just brought more wrongful statements, so I will address those briefly, or actually in great detail. But there was, I could have brought the golden goose to you in that discussion, and you would have said, nice bird, yeah, sure, it lays an egg. Well, I'm not trying to say that, but many people will attest to the contributory nature, and I care about the place a lot. I treat it better than I treat my own stuff. If I see one of your faux fur glasses, which are fake water furs, but they still cost a lot of money, I'll bring it in so it doesn't get smashed if it's out on the street when I come for an early morning. I care about the spa, and you've left that, and that's gone badly, and people care about that. I care about the place. And I have many members who will attest to not only my locker room behavior, which you besmirched my name with, but to my contributory nature, and to this ridiculous thing about taking the food at an event, and the way you passively aggressively tried to serve it up to me was impalatable. So let's just get through this, because it has to be said, and I just hope we can look at it objectively as if we're analyzing our golf swing. And incidentally, you call me nonchalant because of my pétanque. Well, I put a lot of effort into that, and I didn't win it to go to Europe, because I've been to Europe a ton of times before I was even 10, went to school over there, and I have a good relationship with the man who is the sponsor of the event, and he can attest to my good nature. I didn't even really want to beat the girls who never went to Europe, but I did so because I had an obligation to my teammate. Anyway, point of the story is, I'm a caring person, and you've painted me as an awfully deleterious, damaging, dastardly things. And you did it with a smile. And that works fine when you're putting out a fire, which you thought you were doing. But anyway, I gotta call you out on this, because it was just trash talk. And I love you, man, and you know it, because I saw how you helped me with a situation with the toaster and with other people that hurt my feelings, but this hurt my feelings, and you need to know exactly how and why and how it went through, and you need to know that I know, because then we can heal this thing up, which we should do easily, but it takes effort, as I'm making here. So as you charmingly said, you know, Mark, you're running around the locker room naked, and you're taking all the food from the events, but check with the gal. You know, you had clearly left the factual world and what I call gone fishing. You were fishing for stuff, and you were making up a fabrication to exemplify your point, but it was mean, because it's not true, and it besmirches me and the memory of my parents and all that I have become and all that I care to do. And what's really richly ironic, that you could serve this up with a side of fries, it's so damned ironic, is that you're accusing me of doing something, you know, woefully bad simply because I can, like simply because I could take all the food, which I don't at the event. But you're accusing me of that. Well, you've actually done that to me, something badly and sorely wrong, simply because you could, and you know it. Anyway, that's how these things go when you don't have proper communications. As they say, c'est la vie, or we say that's how the cookie crumbles. But let's start to make a little shake here and get things palatable. So, that kind of comment is hurtful, and those were mean, harsh words to say in a passive-aggressive style. It hurt my feelings, and it's my responsibility to let you know that, you know, because I'm a human being, and human beings have feelings. And when you say something like that, and then you don't get the chance to explain it, it lingers, and it's lousy. And it's untrue, and 1,000 people will attest to that I don't take the food. Now, I am a bottom feeder. I will eat the last scraps, and you know I have a big appetite. There was one time, this is kind of funny, that I did take food at the detriment of others. It was in 1985, and I was visiting some relatives in Stockholm, and they'd been out on the town, and I had no idea. I went to have a little snack before I went to bed. And I made a normal snack for myself, which was a quarter, half pound, maybe a pound of ham, and a quarter of a wheel of cheese, and a big slice of cake. Well, I ate that as a snack, and that was a typical snack, but I didn't realize that culturally that was their food for the weekend for the family, and I felt awful, and they never let me live that down. But to say that I go and gorge myself at events is just ridiculous, because I am concerned about others, and I wouldn't ever put that impression to others, and many will attest to that. And that's a slam to my family, who raised me with proper etiquette, politeness, and grooming, and also to my being as a swimmer and a team player, that we've had many feedbacks, and I wouldn't take food from my teammates. I've done 10,000 yard workouts, and you go for the late night meal and you don't take it all because you know there's guys in line. Anyway, so you did that, and you thought it was clever to say it in such a way, but it really wasn't. It was just mean, and I'll tell you why. And I don't think you meant to be mean. I don't think you intended to be abusive towards me, but it was. And and I know you're a good man with a good heart, but it happened that way in your attempt to resolve the situation that was wrong from the start, and that was distasteful, and it hurt my feelings. And this analogy of you being on and that's what you were on a fishing trip. You were trying to close this case, and you were fishing for anything, and I'm going to take the piss out of you and show you exactly how you do that and with the mannerisms. But on a fishing trip, and I like fly fishing because I'm hyperactive, and because I get to do this, the hammer, but I think like the fish. I think he's in the shade, he's coming here, but it's interesting because I'm not a vegan or anything, but I have empathy towards the damn fish because it's true. They scientifically proved that the fish feel pain and are hurt. That's when they rub themselves against a rock like that. And when you hurt somebody, you should do something about it. And you hurt me on that fishing trip like you would hurt a fish. And you tried to catch me and with something that was flatly false. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. But it's devaluizing, and you're trying to marginalize me like that, and I can't have that. So, and as I say, it's richly ironic, but I'm a big eater, but when I eat at a smorgasbord, I know that's factored in, that you have waifs and bulimics that hardly eat any, and that I'm not eating at the detriment to others. And I don't think, that you can equate the two. And as I say, I care about the house, and I care about its financial success, and its emotional well-being, and its physical safety of others, and the fun factor, which makes it the difference between being a high-class hotel and an actual house. And look, we'll have some fun with this because, and it's been discriminatory, and I'll explain that in a bit too. And that's what happens in these places, and I know your owner's dyslexic, but it's funny how these privileged places, which I am intimately familiar, have a history of discrimination. A Catholic, Jew, black, gay, maybe dyslexics the next. The funniest, most ironic one is the Union League Club in Chicago, which is based on abolition and the principles of getting rid of slavery. Well, they had a black judge they wouldn't let in because they were such hypocrites. Well, we can't be hypocritical about this. We got to own up. And that being said, and I gotta tell you also that the way in this was this kind of trickery and this kind of dismissiveness and accusations that go to my very core. This is why. You can take a pause and I'll get to that. Oh, you know what? Stop. I gotta get. Just lean over to your left a little bit because there's a hot spot in the light. Okay, thanks. Look, this is very emotional for me because what happened in that sham of an appeal, and you really can't have an appeal if you don't even have a primary meeting, and we must meet face to face, and you know that. That's only proper if you break up with somebody. Anyway, we'll fix that. But let me stay focused. This caused me a lot of consternation and upset. Not based on just the actions that, and again, you people, and we are different, we have to acknowledge that, and I'll get to that with my cause. And maybe it was a cultural barrier. Maybe you didn't see me go into histrionics of being upset, but I don't like to go there, because, and it's not like, like I'm a Robin Williams. Maybe I am, I don't know, but I think I know myself pretty well, that I can face my fears and, get on with my life. And this is one of the things that hurts, and I don't like to have to go there, but I'm going to go there with you and get this over with, because you said these things and you tricked me, and I've been tricked plenty as a dyslexic and also been misunderstood like that. Let me share the story with you that can maybe shed some light on this, and also help you to understand how you could rationalize some of these things. But you can't rationalize hurting somebody. Once you know, that's between you and your God, and I'm sure you're good people. So look at. When you say the worst things about me, it opens these wounds from some of my bleakest days. When I, and graduated from the Colorado College, the most private, prestigious university, and I declined being lassoed, or that's what I saw it as, being lassoed by Dartmouth. They were trying to recruit me, but I don't like snot.